I'm not sure it was clear from the program, but this talk will be in English. I'm from St. Petersburg, Russia. I live in Russia, I work in Russia, and I came from St. Petersburg. It's about 15-hour flight, especially for this conference. Yeah, and I would really love to learn a little bit of Portuguese, and I was speaking in XP this year, XP conference in Porto, a wonderful city, but I really don't speak Portuguese at all, so it sounds like «Я очень рада вас видеть, прекрасные люди, прекрасный город», so something like that. So really friendly, but I don't understand a word. Absolutely. Our topic today will be a so-called powerful, powerless leader. So a little bit more precise, it can be called neuroscience of powerful, powerless leader, or it can be called a biology of powerful, powerless leader. But in general, these topics are so huge. There are so many things that are deep inside our bodies, that are deep inside our brains, that identify, will other people understand are we leaders or not? Will give us power to be a leader of a certain level, and I will cover this a little bit. Also, how we will feel ourselves amongst other leaders. So I took quite a small piece of that to give, I can say it's a taster, but not as it's a definite topic, so I hope you will be able to take some practical things from here. And it might sound like a theory, so I took a book and I'm describing. It's not. This theory was derived from the practice, and I was part of these psychological experiments as a mouse. My role was to be a mice there. To understand how certain level of energy identifies how others will perceive you. Are you a leader or not? My name is Obhukova. I'm an agile coach, trainer, speaker, and I'm a managing partner of an agile consulting company called ScrumTrek in Russia. And it seems that it's the largest agile consultancy, I think, in Europe now. We have more than 40 people there, with more than 20 full-time agile coaches there. For agile consultancy, it's a pretty large thing. And as I said, I'm from St. Petersburg, Russia. A little bit more about me. Love talking about myself. I'm agile from 2004. That for Russia is not bad as well. And I was moving, like being a consultant, then working by hands again, a consultant working by hands again. So I was initially, I'm from software testing, then I moved to being Scrum Master, project, program, and portfolio level manager. And before I came to be a full-time agile coach last time, I was working in London in UBS, that is one of the major Swiss banks. It was called Global Agile Portfolio Delivery Manager. So 5 was in my role, and I was managing 60 agile teams as a portfolio thing, working something like an umbrella. Protecting teams from not that agile bank environment, so like let them work like peacefully as they can do. This is one of the leadership roles as well, but yeah, it was interesting. But then I moved to consulting, and what might be a little bit more interesting about me is my educations. Initially, I'm a biologist, so my first education is in biology, to be precise, in embryology. So I know everything, how to make children. In theory. And it happened that I got this education, forgot about this for about 10 years, but then I realized that it doesn't matter how many people I sort of manage, how many teams I have, but I do feel inside that when we change process a little bit, I do understand and I do care, that's important, what's happening in people's body. We change this piece of, like we change the way we're doing retrospective. I do understand how this will change people's brain. I do understand how this changed people's body. Will they feel better or not? And overall, my worldwide speaking journey starts with explanation what's happening inside the body of Scrum practitioners. So why Scrum practitioners really feel better when they start practicing Scrum. And then quite naturally, I moved to coaching, psychology. I'm Freudian psychoanalyst, and currently I'm studying extremely wonderful topic that is neuroleadership. There is Neuroleadership Institute in United States that applies pure neuroscience, like solid science with all these brain scans and all these things, to what we can call leadership. Fantastic thing that really proves how we can change ourselves, what topics are the most important in how we can be leaders, and so on. That's it about me. Anybody read this book? Yeah, few of you. I'm not going to read about this book. I've met David Marquet. He is the former United States Navy captain. So quite a big rank person. And I've met him on Agile 2017. This is the largest Agile conference in the world. I was speaking there about, so I will be speaking this year with this topic as well. So I met them last year, and he's wonderful. He's not like bossy boss, but he might be, he's one of the most well-known management consultants and really respected by the Agile community. So he's really nice, really friendly, communicates with you like you really matter, really good. And he shares his story in a book. It can be read like a journal, so he just writes what's happening with him. And it starts really with the problem. He was assigned to be a captain of the nuclear submarine that intended initially to have a war with Soviet Union. Soviet Union did better job, it collapses itself. So he has no job to do, but so they are like still trying to maintain their abilities. And it's interesting thing about that, to be a captain of the nuclear submarine, you need to know everything. Every single detail, every single equipment, you need to know how it's working. Because the leadership style was to give orders. And he was training on another submarine where he followed the captain. And he said that in about few hours, he gave more than, I think, 100 orders or something like that. He just realized that it doesn't work. So possibly he doesn't have enough energy to work this way, just run up and down, and it might be counterproductive. But this was his thoughts inside. And he was assigned to the submarine that was like a normal submarine, but with the best team ever. So really good team, people know what they're doing, they are prolonging their contracts, everything nice. So he was spending about a year learning all equipment, and then he got a call from his management that, David, everything is good, yeah, okay, how are you, and so on. You know, you will be assigned to another submarine, another class of the submarine where all equipment is different. Like, okay, what I can do, like, okay, you will be assigned there in a month's time, and in 5 months the submarine should go to the deep sea and survive. And by the way, it's the worst team ever. These people don't want to work there. There are so many errors that they're making that he doesn't understand why they didn't think already. So everything is wrong. So he doesn't know equipment, he can't give orders, there is practically nobody to give orders to, so please go. So the best thing that he could do is to define that he can do everything he wants. So absolutely everything he wants with this team, with this, and he did. So when he came there, he started with the team that was on level 1. Tell me what to do. But he's not able to tell what to do. And then he realized that it's not that productive to tell people what to do. He had a fantastic moment when he asked so his subordinates to set speed 2, like I'm captain, set speed 2, yes speed 2, yes speed 2, yes speed 2, nothing. He said, what's happening? Why you're not setting speed 2? Captain, there is no speed 2 on this boat. And he asked, why? I set this through the whole chain of subordinates. Why didn't you say me that, Captain, you are wrong, there is no speed 2 on this boat? Now we are people who just pass orders. We are not thinking, we are passing orders. Then he started working with people, training them to first say, so they say what they see, then they articulate what they think, what they would like to, and then what they intend to do, and so on. And this model overall starts to be named intent-based leadership. And in 1 year time, this boat became the best nuclear submarine in US Navy, like in the whole timeline. And even better, it's not only the best submarine in terms of checks and so on, but he had 14 officers on the boat. And from these 14 officers, 10 of them later became submarine captains. So this was not only to reduce errors, this starts being a system to create leaders. So what he said from this experience, give power. So when you are giving power, you are creating leaders. That's more or less fine. And the model itself was that, yeah, you definitely might have a leader on the company, on the team, on the department, on the submarine level. But until you have leaders on every level of your boat, this will not work at all. Especially if we think about Kinevin. Who knows about Kinevin? Yeah, a little bit more. It's the model of the world, and if you don't know, not going through that now, it's a very interesting model of the world where we, as, I hope this will work, yeah. We as agile practitioners and we as modern world work in this environment, in complex environment. Here, we might work as just assembling things on the conveyor so we can have leader followers. Here we might have experts who will tell us what we can do. Here even leaders will not know where we're going and how market will change. And here we practically will not even have leaders of this level because everyone is a leader and trying to survive and go out of the chaos domain. So this leader-leader model is not because it's nice, not because it's fancy and good to talk from the stage. It's just the model, practically the only one model that will work in the complex environment in the model world if we want to be effective and if we want to really have leaders working with us. But this leadership model is not that, it's not that new, but it's not that old, unfortunately. So our mindset might be still influenced by the previous model. The previous model was that the leader was on the top. That was the king, the Tsar, someone, usually sometimes military like general, who has something or was born with the inability to be a leader. So he was assigned, and this was some inability to be a leader. That was up to 1970s. And one of the leadership thinkers, his name is Robert Greenleaf. He was reading a book that described how a group of people they walked through the terrain that was not really friendly, like a jungle or something like that, and something happened with this guy. So they didn't had an assigned leader. Okay. So they worked as a group, they worked as a team, everything was fine until one person left the group. And then it starts being obvious that this person was a leader. So normal thing for us now. But what was shocking in this topic is that this person was a servant. He was a person who just served some food or something like that. So in that time hierarchy, he was somewhere nothing. And it was shocking that this person might be leader as well. So leadership is not something that is assigned. Leadership is your inner ability that you can show, that you cannot show, but it's something that is assigned not because of the role, but it's inner ability of the person. And he called this type of person servant leader, with some notion of this servant who show this approach. But then it starts being interesting how people interpret this servant leader, not looking at the original topic. Servant leader, is that the leader who serves the team? Do you agree with that? Might be, especially in Protestant English speaking or this type of thing. Service or servicing is quite a good thing, but sometimes when it's a service to be given, but sometimes it starts being not a servant leader, but leader servant. And I see it quite a lot, and I'm not only giving talks about this in Russia, who has a little bit stronger hierarchy historically, but in other countries as well, in UK, in US, and people support me that this problem exists, especially when there is a Scrum Master, a girl, and not that experienced as a team. She might start being treated as, okay, you're a girl with the stickers, or you're a girl with a pen, just write minutes, and by the way, bring us some coffees or something like that. So this is not the servant leader that we might want to. And here, if we think about servant leader as a servant leader, servant can teach you being a good servant. Leader can teach you being a good leader. So when we have powerless servants who need to create powerful leaders, we really need to have people who can create others. We need leaders for leaders. So how we can be and become like that? So servant leader is when everyone in the team can be the leader. Can manager be a leader? Yeah. Can manager be not a leader? Yeah. So this is not like dichotomy. So manager can be leader, manager can be not a leader, and vice versa. So these are not things that eliminate each other. But there is definite thing that does eliminate each other. So also when we speak about servant leader can be leader, definitely, can be not. But there is certain dichotomy from the nature, from the biology, that is absolute one or another. This is dominant versus leader. And this is about biological science. There is science called ethology or ethology. This studies behavior of animals and people. And it has two wide branches. One studies animals in cages, in zoos, and another studies animals in wild nature. And it happened to be that people have the same dichotomy in their head as well, and behavior is absolutely different. Dominant behavior is when you are in the cage. It can be cage physical, it can be cage mental. When you think that you are not good to look for a job in another company, you think that borders across countries are something like a cage and you can't cross the border, or something like that. Can you think about human examples of the dominant environments? Yeah, definitely. It's definitely prison, so it's physical cage. schools, yeah, quite close to be physical cage. Army, again, so if you are in the army, so you are there until the certain time. Sometimes, yes, if you feel caged in your own house, you will feel, yeah, might be, but please like listen carefully where it can lead. And unfortunately, quite often these are large companies, large corporations, especially with waterfall-ish, boss-ish behavior. And this is not boss-ish behavior. In biological terms, it's dominant behavior. Leadership behavior is a behavior in the open, in wild nature. So there is no cage. We don't think about ourselves being like cross borders. Sometimes this happens even in prisons. So people can be prisoned physically, but their mind is absolutely free. And there are a lot of psychologists who were in the prison or in the Nazi camps, who were free absolutely with their minds, and they didn't feel themselves, and they didn't become dominant people. And what's happening when you start feeling or thinking about yourself being in a cage? What cage means? This is smaller and smaller amount of territory. Yeah, these are restrictions, and there are clear physical restrictions. You don't need enough adrenaline. This is hormone of stress and understanding who is enemy and who is not. You don't need this adrenaline. You don't need testosterone because you don't need huge amount of children. They will not survive on this small territory. You don't need dopamine. This is a hormone of interest, of achievement, of energy, of anticipation, because there is nothing outside. You are in the cage. And in this circumstance, people just start feeling old, physically old. And not only feeling, it's really what's physically happening. People start feeling old. It can be 25, it can be 30, when mentally we think about ourselves in the cage. Biologically, you start being old. And what's happening in wild nature when previous alpha male starts feeling old and he's not that good as his like males around him? He has only one fight, one major fight with someone who is questioning, is he a leader or not? If he wins, he maintains being a leader. And if he loses one battle, he just steps away one step and starts being an advisor. This is normal behavior in wild nature. But when you are in the cage and you feel old all the time. So you have these battles all the time. And you start eating not external enemies, not someone who threatens your team, but people who are inside the team, because the threat starts being inside. These are the people who might question your role. These can be people who start questioning, are you boss or not? These people who might start questioning your decisions and so on. And this starting being a threat. So dominance starts eating his team members. A leader is eating external enemies. And feeling old versus feeling powerful. Dominant defines progress when he's eating, and food, by the way, in the cage, food is coming from somewhere. So it's not real hunting. Food is coming from somewhere, not depending on what you are doing. So it's like salary. Progress is when how many people are waiting for this nice corner office. How many people are waiting for this nice fancy education or something like that. So how long is the line to have what you have right now, and trying to kick everyone, not to be afraid that they will get what you have. For leaders, it's quite simple. Progress is a new result, what you get from somewhere. Dominant will not survive without followers because he's not able to get food from outside. He's waiting for that. And followers, for leader, followers will really happen. I will explain a little bit how this is happening. Followers will be, but it's definitely not what leader needs. So he's just going where is his interest, and people just follow. For dominant, stable environment is the perfect thing, so change is the main threat, and we currently do not have stable environments. And lead is comfortable in the changing environment, absolutely fine. This is what he is biologically made for. Dominant is aggressive for the inner circle. Leader is aggressive to the outside circle. Okay. So, and these are pictures. This is dominant, so he's drinking water first, like, and kicking everyone from the pool. And what leader does if he is in the cage? So what do you think about the leader who thinks outside of the box if he is in the cage environment? Yes, he definitely tries to break the cage, or it might be if the cage is too strong, he might remove the cage mentally and goes into the corner and starts working on what is interesting for him. Interest is the main thing. Interest and attention. He pays attention what is important to him. Find type of work that is interesting for him, and do not pay attention to these bossy, dominant games and so on. Just makes what you have. This is natural leader as well. So don't think that lead is only like that. So this silent guy or silent girl who is sitting in the corner and doing something good and interesting and really worth doing, and not shouting about this in every corner, can be natural leader as well. And this will be the person who will start an agile transformation in the company. Because being in the cage for the leader is really uncomfortable, really physically awful. So he will start an agile transformation, because agile environment is definitely not a dominant one. It's absolutely leadership environment when we look outside of what's happening. So biologically, leader knows where tasty things are. Moving back to the biology, or how to behave so that tasty things will appear right here and now. Leader's job, number one, looking for new. We look, so what's happening outside? And these are fish. I'm biologist, so there will be plenty of mice, wolves, and fish. These are fish. Their name is golians. And they are really good in like swimming in the school of fish. So when one goes here, the same, like, they all follow each other. Very good in doing like that. But sometimes there is some strange fish that find something interesting. Interesting in fish terms is tasty. Finds some tasty and doesn't look on other fish and goes there. And sort of normal golians, when it finds that everyone is somewhere there and I'm here alone, it loses interest to that tasty thing and just goes back to the school of fish. But if the interest is too high, if it still doesn't pay attention, is he alone or not, and goes just to that tasty thing, in quite a short time, it can find that there are another fishes. They just joined. They saw that this person or fish finds something interesting and follows them. This is the leader-follower model for looking for new approach. We are not golians. We're a little bit more complicated. I'm not sure that this is really good for us, but we are. But our leader-follower model is absolutely the same. And you might experience that when you found some book, article, type hobby, or some project at your work, and you're really in there. So you're passionate about that. You don't need anyone to join. But what happens? People don't, oh, what you're doing? Oh, there is an interesting article on Facebook. Oh, you're going to that city. Oh, you're speaking at this conference, on what topic, and so on. People are looking for the energy. People are looking for something interesting, and they just follow. We have absolutely the same approach as Golians. The second leader's job is to protect. That's quite simple, and I'm not going quite deep in there. But if you are leader of the group, you might have better food, you might have prettier woman or man, but this comes with a price. When enemies come, when something bad happens, you will be the first person to protect the team. To protect the team from the strange requests from the product owner, for example, or from the customer, from not that great organizational changes that might harm the team or the product, or things like that in our environments. So protecting the team is the second piece of leadership job. And to do all that, every person, absolutely every person, and every leader has these three components. First component is rank potential. Rank potential can be described as the size of the personality, or what you think is like okay for you or is normal for you. For some people, it might be normal to ride a track all life, like, or a bus between two stops, and that's it, and it doesn't really want more. It can be there can be difference. There can be a truck driver who is driving this truck and thinks that it's absolutely okay for him. It can be a truck driver who currently drives the truck, but thinks that he will build the truck driving company, or thinking about a startup, or thinking about like winning the world or going to the Guinness Book, something like that. It's not about what you are doing now, but what about you think is normal for you to do. And when I'm talking with agile coaches, I quite often ask them, what is your size as an agile coach? And sometimes, what are you speaking about or talking about? So you're currently working with the companies of about 2-3 projects or 2-3 teams. Is that you think that is your limit, your interest? Sometimes they answer yes, sometimes they answer no. Or when you think about creating talks and finding some topics that are interesting for you. There are some speakers that are speaking in the local environment and absolutely fine. Some are thinking about, is that interesting to the whole country, then to the whole continent, then to the whole world. So these are different types of rank potential. What you think is your size of the personality. And rank potential is an anticipation. And it is based on dopamine and testosterone. I'm not going really deep in there, but this pleasure of achieving results and energy to achieve next result, this is dopamine. Testosterone is just pure energy that is important both for men and women. For men, more important, for women, still important as well. Next one is primativity. This is quite simple. When primativity is high, then only my wishes and desires and opinion matters. When it is low, then only things that is important for the society, for the family, for the company matters. Usually somewhere in between, but it defines the border between me as a person and a society as a society. So where this border is, and so this affects as well. And the third is the most important. This is vitality. This is current amount of energy that you have. I will quickly share the model here. I'm not going deep inside, but it's pure biological thing that can be ranged as a battery, as amount of energy for practically everyone. 0 is a coma, so brain is working practically, everything else not. Then think about like adding a little bit of energy as surviving from the serious illness. 5% swallowing digestion, then you're able to get dressed and move inside the house, then some easy activity of 15 minutes, 20-25% you are able to work on the conveyor but not think yet, then can select some activity himself and get energy from external feedback, can be positive or negative, like start working now, yeah, this gives a little bit of energy. Previously not, so you can kick person with low amount of energy, he will just not react, will not understand that he needs to move. 35%. So here, person starts to plan a little bit, understand is he in time or not. He's confident in the known environment, but still panics if anything changes. Are you happy to work with this person? Definitely not. Pure statistics. General, like average office worker energy is 33%. 33%. So people that you meet on the streets that look quite well, they might be in suits and so on, but statistically all over the world. I think it's a little bit lower in United States because their schedule is awful, a little bit higher in Europe because they are more relaxed. Yeah, it's about 33, 35 as well, so we have quite harsh environment, so very competitive one. So we still have social lifts, and if you really work hard, as like 20, 30 years ago in United States, if you really work hard, you can be anyone. So for people with really high rank potential, like social lifts are still open. Then on 40%, you can manage but not lead, and people start understanding that there might be need for a change, not for them, and very slowly. 45%, there is an important breakthrough that internal goals are more internal than external one. Remember the primativity. This is where primativity of yourself starts being over what your environment wants. And ability to handle changes. The main thing in this battery is ability to handle changes. 45% is the minimum amount of energy that we require from agile teams, by the way. 33 and 45. And this is what I'm working as a coach, as a trainer, as adding energy for the teams. I have a special program that is working for 2 months with trainings and like direct training to add energy to the teams. Because quite often we go into the company and just look and say, okay, you might as a business need an agile transformation, but people just don't have energy for that. You need first to add energy to these people and then do agile transformation, like 2 months, and then you will be able to proceed. Leadership starts on 50-55%. And this is top management in terms of management, but for the leader is a leader of a team, of few teams there. 60 is the minimum amount of energy for agile coaches, because only from this amount of energy people start understanding that not everything needs to be changed. And your mental model can be wrong, and this is okay. To survive this thought that you might be wrong, you need quite a lot of energy. 65-75% is a social significance. With this amount of energy, people start their companies and start their like clever companies, technological companies, startups, and so on. 75%, so this company starts being larger. And if I meet these people quite often, because majority of the top agile coaches have their own companies, I meet with quite a lot of owners of the business as agile coach. So this is quite like, I can see these people, I'm sure there are people here in the room. I never meet these people. 80, 100%, you will be able to understand was it 80 or 100 in several centuries. Because the difference is how many centuries after your death you will be remembered. We might think about Steve Jobs about 100. He will be if we remember him in like 500 years. But if we forget him in 20, he's something like 80. About Elon Musk, the same. So they might be like 80, 90, But if Elon Musk really goes to Mars, he will definitely be remembered for centuries. If not, we might remember someone else. So these type of people, so this is significance. So this is amount of energy. And remember rank potential, the size of the personality. Rank potential is the inborn maximum of the energy that you can achieve. So you can be born with like 50, and that is fine. You can be born with 60, with 70, with 80 and 100. This is the normal distribution. We have 1% of hundreds in our society. So we have two hundreds in this room. But unfortunately, dominant environments, especially school, it tries to put rank potential as low as normal rank potential, just because these children want to put their fingers in the socket. They are not afraid of wild animals. They are looking for you. They are so curious about you that they practically don't have fear, and others try to stop them. So the problem is not that people have low rank potential. High rank potential is quite normal. But the society, environment, companies, dominant environment tries to put it as low as possible to the norm. And you remember the norm? 35, yeah. Unfortunately. So this is overall the model. I was mice in that model. I was mice in that model. And there is a very nice application called Weltery that allows you to measure amount of energy that you currently have using your phone. It just measures a height rate variability. The heartbeat is never have identical difference between the heartbeats. And the more it's variable, more energy you have and less stress you have. So energy and stress goes like that. And it's used in space and sport. And I've met the guy who was the head of the space expedition on Mir. And I asked him, Sergey, is it really that you wear the heartband, and if you have this heart rate variability too identical, you will be turned off, like driving the spacecraft? He said, yes, with only difference that we are not like driving the spacecraft, it's going automatic all the time. But if our stress is too high and energy is too low, we are just like banned from any experiments. We're just mandated to go to rest. So this is working, but no, it's mine, like about a year ago, energy level 34, but here's from 100. My like current rank potential is about 70, 75. So 34, it's about 40, 42. So still quite bad. So stress level is too high. So you need to like additionally adjust this for the rank potential. It's not from 100. And overall, this structure works that rank potential is your inner crocodile brain, reptilian brain somewhere here. Your primativity is your social brain, your limbic system. And your vitality is how many energy you have in your human brain, in your neocortex. So this is all linked to the structure of the brain and how healthy these parts of the brain are. Let's think quickly. Who this person can be? Extremely high rank potential, extremely high primativity, only about himself, doesn't care about society at all, and extremely high vitality. Who's that? Jesus Christ might be. Steve Jobs' primativity was sort of closer to normal. Not average, but Donald Trump, do you want to remember him for 1,000 years? I hope he will not start Third World War. In that case, we will definitely remember him. Sorry? Yeah, might be. This is mafia boss. So really doesn't care about people, doesn't care about their lives, about society at all. This is mafia boss, can be Hitler, something like that. So too high is not good as well, is extreme. Who's that? Rank potential still high, primativity like a normal person, vitality high. Yeah, this is Steve Jobs. Yeah. This is normal head of the government, not like I was like, okay. Who's that? Normal? Yeah? Some, unfortunately, it's not average guy. This is happy guy. This is happy guy. He wants what he can, and he can what he wants. Really, it's really happy person, like well-rounded person. To work in agile team, I would like a little bit higher rank potential and higher vitality, because about 50, you remember, it's like the lowest. So it's good for agile team member, but not like the lowest for the Scrum Master. Who's that? Might be. Do you want to work with this person? Really? Really? He doesn't want more than he's like sort of currently doing, but so you as a manager or a leader, you think about this person that he really has energy to do more. He thinks that he has potential, but he has energy, not potential. He will be absolutely fine to turn off computer at 6 and go somewhere with a huge amount of hobbies. So it might be good for this person, good to have the amount of energy, but we might not, so I will not like this type of person. And it's not really common. It's difficult to maintain higher energy than rank potential. Who's that? Yeah, who thinks that he can do a lot, or like thinks about himself as a large person, but doesn't have energy. When this happens? When you're not really. So with the good maintaining of energy, I'm currently 40, so I have higher energy than I had in 30s. Frustrated, and frustration leads to stress, depression, burnout. Yeah, this is the burnout person. So this is what I'm working with the teams. So lowering amount of energy, these are different stages of burnout. And the problem with the leadership is that the amount of energy, the level of vitality will determine and sort of cut your rank potential. You might be still dreaming, but you will not able to do. You might be thinking about yourself, but every demand from the customer or every demand from your team, you will take them closer than your own desires. So vitality is the key. So as the leaders, as the managers, as people, our career, our management ability will depend only on amount of energy, of our ability to maintain that vitality for the rank potential that is interesting for us for decades. This is really a hard job, because the environment tries to put us on 33%. And we might have potential and interest in going 60, 70, 75, and who knows, 80 and 100. Maintaining energy is the key. So, are we Agilists or not? Agile Manifesto? Leader Manifesto? I want to be there over fear of unknown. I want to be there over being in a crowd. This is primativity. And I want to be there, and I have power to do that. And this power, this energy is the key thing. And the career in Agile is really different. You are not like pleasuring your boss, and when your boss goes up, he might take you with you, like in classic environment. But you have your energy, your influence. First you influence yourself, then you influence yourself and someone else. 1, 2, 3, 5, 15, 50, 150, 450, 2,000, 7,000, and so on. These are the circles of influence. If you currently are managing 5 people, you will be able to manage 15. If you're working fine with 15 people, if you take the project of 50, you will be fine. Don't jump through that, because you will need to grow your personality. You will need to grow your energy for this one. And the best thing is that no one ever will be able to take this level of influence, this level of personality with you. You can change companies, you can change countries, you can change everything. But the level of the personality, this stable amount of energy, this level of influence will be sensed by everyone. This is sensed by your crocodile brain. So people start sensing this from 3 years old. You can't fake it. You can only do that. Thank you. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions, but I will be around for some time here. Yeah, thank you so much.